I welcome everyone, all the stroke survivors, caregivers, and the participants who have joined, and especially the speakers for today. I'm glad that they have given us the time, all the panelists today for the session today on the regaining independence post-stroke. So introduction with the speakers, I should start now. So first speaker would be Dr. Subhashish Banerjee. He is the founder inventor of the managing director of Scienfi Singapore. He has over 20 years of experience in developing technology, 5 years of years in practicing therapy, and 10 years in clinical research. He has diverse background that have led him to invent to commercialize the world first, that is wearable connected health solution that restores the movement and the cognition after trauma, developing any kind of delay or aging. The Scienfi technology is the outcome of the PhD study which he undertook after recovering from the physical and the brain injury himself. He has been published several numerous peer-reviewed papers, and he is a frequent speaker at science conferences and trade and several other events where he champions a new approach of patient-driven recovery from disease, any kind of disability. Along with this, he is a co-founder of Dr. John Heng. He has secured the top competitive research grant in the Singapore from the agencies such as National Medical Research Council, National Research Foundation, and Singapore MIT Alliance for Technology and Research. Scienfi commercially in India came in July 2019, and in November 2019, his invention won the Innovation World Series Cup in the Connected Health category at Medica, Germany. And coming towards our neurophysiotherapist for today, Dr. Anushka Shetty. She has completed her bachelor's in physiotherapy from Sancheti Institute of Physiotherapy, that is in Maharashtra. Previously, she had been working in Nightingale's Home Healthcare in 2016 and 17, where she have treated several kind of neuro and orthopedic patients. And she has a vast experience in neuro rehab. She have been working with Scienfi Care as a neurophysiotherapist from August 19. She actually accessed the patient, their impairment condition, conducting various assessment, training of the patient and the caregivers on the Scienfi device usage. And today we'll be having a story of a stroke survivor who will be actually given by a patient who is by profession chartered accountant. And in 2017, he got actually stroke, and all the story we would be listening from him only today. Now, thinking towards the time, I'll just hand over to the Dr. Subhashish Banerjee and his team, and we are very much thankful that sir you have been like coming towards today and giving us the time for our survivors and caregivers for the session today. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, Tamanna. Really happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. I am Dr. Subhashish Banerjee, and really thank you to Dakshma and to Stroke Support Alliance and IAPG. This is a lovely opportunity for us to interact with a wide cross section of people, and we hope you will find this, presentation useful. And maybe in the short time, we will also be able to share with you how this has benefited others and hopefully how it could also benefit you. Thank you so much. So can I start my presentation straight away? Okay,
yes,
great. So I'm going to start with a few slides, which will basically take you through the background of what we do, why are we here, and a little bit about the technology and how it is used at home and what are its benefits. Okay, so let me share screen. And after I've done that, I will hand over to Dr. Anushka, and she will take you through some actual cases that she and her colleagues have worked on. And then, of course, we will have our dear patient share some of his journey with all of you. So please, I hope you can see my screen. Tamanna, can you just confirm that you can see the shared screen? Okay, lovely, lovely. Gaining independence post-stroke. we use the word independence purposely because we know that while a lot of people recover certain movements, etc., but independence we find is what people really want and look for. And independence is a little different than just doing exercise. Okay, and I hope in today's chat we can pick out those key salient points so that each one of you can also introspect on how you are going about your therapy and see whether it is actually aligned towards independence or not. Okay. So we call ourselves Symphony. You can see that's a abbreviation for our technology. The technology full form is Synergistic Physio Neuro Platform. And let me now, yes. So if you or any of your loved ones have been impacted after stroke, and if you have tried all the traditional approaches, but you still find some things like fine motor skills, for example, are still lagging. And if you want to really look at regaining certain specific areas of independence and go about your daily life, then that's what this seminar is for, this webinar. And we hope that, we can share with you how some people have gone about it and how Symphony facilitates that process. So today's agenda, what do we do? What are we trying to solve? A little bit about our home use solution and how does it restore independence digitally, okay? Because during the COVID, we have gone about working with patients without ever touching them physically. And this is actually a new paradigm. We were working on it for the last 13 years, but COVID has just accelerated that process. So we are, in a position to help you no matter where you are. Clinical assessments and outcomes of Symphony, which will be walked through by Dr. Anushka, and then of course, a story sharing. So what do we do? So we restore independence digitally, okay? As you may know, and you would agree with me that independence means many different things to different people. And the next two slides is just a snapshot. So the first person you see is somebody who was living alone but dependent on neighbors and wanted to be independent so that, his dependence on neighbors becomes less. In the middle, you see a child. When we interacted with the child was 7 years old, had stroke in the womb. And the main things that parents wanted for him was to able to engage in play, because we know that, at that age, engagement in play actually is a very powerful tool to kickstart brain development. And then, of course, the lady right at the bottom, as you know, in Singapore, there is a lot of social eating. People go out to eat with family. And when somebody gets affected, especially on the dominant hand, and is clumsy and drops food, they tend to retreat back and get socially excluded. So her idea of being independent was going out to eat. And then we had somebody who at 15 years post-stroke was a professional guitarist, and his idea of independence was going back on stage to play with his son, which he achieved. And then, of course, there was another gentleman who wanted to write, going back to signing documents and things like that. And then the child that you see, who was a dyslexia attention deficit patient. As you know, there are a lot of symptoms and challenges across all these conditions, which are very similar. So what I'm showing you is a wide cross section. And for this young girl who was about 12 years old, the challenge was to be able to read close to her biological age. So her reading age at the time we met her was about 9, and now she is back to very close to her biological age. And we learned something very interesting from kids. Okay, from kids and their parents and their teachers, we learned that one of the biggest markers of independence was significantly reduced adult assistance at home and in school. And so for adults, it is no different. If you have been impacted by stroke or some such neuro condition, what really independence, if I were to draw a common thread across all that you saw in the previous two slides, it would be significantly reduced assistance at home and at work, okay? And so over the next few slides, that's what you will see, how we try to facilitate that. So what are we trying to solve? The world is older, very large aging populations. It's more obese, okay? And this combination is actually creating a general population which is not that well, okay? And now over the last, since 2013, there are more deaths due to non-communicable diseases than there are with communicable diseases. So the world looks a little different now than it did 20 years ago, okay? And rehab is becoming a very big part of it, of keeping people healthy. And neuro rehab in particular is becoming a very, very important and large part of the overall rehab scenario. So growing challenges, because it's for these challenges that we want to adopt or try to bring to market a technology solution. So, generally in rehab, there is a lack of technology. There's not many technologies. The development of technology in rehab is a recent phenomenon. And then, of course, the very, very large numbers of chronic patients, right? Increasing incidence of chronic diseases and a lack of adequate healthcare access. Because now, if you are with a condition that requires daily rehab, you know that to get daily rehab is really, really difficult. Also, the cost is not sustainable. So on one hand, you have the doctors saying that you need rehab daily. On the other hand, there are these access and affordability costs, okay? And just not enough therapists around, or you may be living too far away from a good therapy center, and so on and so forth. So we built our solution around better efficacy. And what we mean by better efficacy is we trained cognitive and physical in the same wearable system, okay? So this makes the entire training very time efficient. And also you don't need multiple technologies to be sitting close to you, right? And we leverage neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to rewire itself. And a little bit of that you will see in the subsequent slides. The other part about efficacy is if you're a long-term patient, if you have had stroke maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we work with patients up to 10 years after stroke, okay? In the sense that if you had a stroke 10 years ago, there is still scope for you to regain function. And we do that using this technology by breaking what we call recovery plateaus, okay? And then reducing compensation. Compensation simply means using a different set of muscles than what is biomechanically the appropriate muscles. And of course, regaining lost function. So better efficacy, which of course the system must work. That's the first thing. Then better access, okay? For you and have access to the then better affordability and health economics. Over the last 2 years, and especially during COVID times, we see that this can help reduce the cost per session of therapy and can actually allow you to sustain something like a daily dose. And of course, it also travel and the risks around that, etc. We focus on independence, which means 1, integration into daily activities, 2, return to work, and 3, if living independently is important for you, then how does one go about those things? So our home use solution, Symphony, that's how we pronounce it, captures brain and muscle signals and enables people to self-correct movements in real time after stroke, injury, or aging. So this is how it looks. You have a headgear on the head, you have arm gear, actually several exercises, and you can see for yourself how you're doing, and you can make the shifts in how you're actually engaging with muscle and the brain while you're doing this protocol. So how is Symphony different? Our previous understanding was about the brain was that it is hardwired after the age of 25 or so, and then you need a lot of external interventions for it to heal, such as stimulation, etc. And hence, the traditional approach to rehab had been high repetition. It was led and directed by a therapist, and it was necessary to do that, every time. And this also led to certain technologies which were passive movement, which like manual movement type of machines or robotic machines, right? The new understanding of the brain, which is as recent as about 10 years old, tells us that the brain is forever plastic, which means it's always transforming, even if you're 100 years old. And it is self-learning and self-organizing, okay? Which means given the right inputs, it can actually modify itself. So the Symphony approach is therefore low repetition, which means you don't have to do 50 or 100 repetitions of an exercise. We do very few. And it is patient driven, okay, which means it is you creating the changes. Of course, there will be somebody supervising, somebody who's qualified like a therapist, etc. But basically the changes will be brought about by you. And we train brain and muscle together because we feel that when you want to be independent and do a task independently, you have to engage the physical body and the mind together at the same time. For example, if you want to write a sentence or write a birthday card to somebody, you have to not only execute with the hand, but you have to also plan the sentence. You have to see whether you're writing in a straight line, and you have to do all those other mental tasks. You have to recall vocabulary and all these things. So in independence, both need to synchronize, the physical and the cognitive, and hence we train both together. So just to give you the steps of how does it facilitate independence. So first, what it teaches you is to learn to maintain a relaxed and attentive state. Second is the real-time feedback from the signals that you see on the computer screen actually helps you self-correct both your movement and your physical function. And while doing this, you learn to manage compensation and fatigue, okay? Because all of you who have had experience with stroke before, yourselves or your family members will know fatigue is a massive part of what needs to be managed, both during rehab and during daily life, right? Then also you will learn to self-administer the therapy after some initial training, which is part of independence. And of course, in this process, restore some key elements of being independent, which is fine motor skill, balance, and cognitive skill. Now, if you follow these first 5 steps, what we have seen is people start getting back to their life. Benefits of having a technology at home is common sense. Most of you will see this and relate to it. There's no travel, and because it's online, appointments are easy. It's not always dependent on whether your therapist is available or not. You will get a daily dose, which is the international clinical recommendation, and hence accelerate your recovery. Progress is measurable because we are capturing data all the time. So from session to session, we can display to you whether changes are taking place or not, okay? You don't have to wait a month for the next assessment. And of course, because you're doing it daily and you're sitting at home, a lot of costs, indirect costs, etc., are reduced, and you can do a session daily and hopefully sustain it. And lastly, since you're in the process of learning the self-correction paradigm, even in your therapy, you will become somewhat independent, okay? And these are some of the people that we've worked with. You will see these are some of the top, organizations in Singapore, in India, and in the US. And we have been lucky and very honored to get some of the world's top awards, both in Europe and in the US recently in the last 2 years. I'm a little over time, so I will end with this video, which will be a brief 2-minute introduction or demo of how the system works. So enjoy the video, and then I will hand over to Anushka. Do let me know if you can hear the audio, Tamanna.
Hi.
Yes, sir, we can.
Today I'm going to introduce you to the Symphony device. Symphony is an abbreviation for Synergistic Physio-Neuro Platform. And this platform actually helps one to train brain and muscle together as one system. What it does is it captures brain and muscle signals, uses that to provide feedback in real time on various metrics, in particular brain and muscle responses in real time while somebody is attempting to do a task. So let me just show you how this works. This is a set of sensors. We call this the headgear, and this is very easy to put on. And then this is the arm gear. So it's very quick to put on and set up. What you see here is a charging dock. It does both wirelessly charge the 2 devices as well as it generates its own Wi-Fi network so that we are not dependent on the Wi-Fi network of the local machine. So when we go to the user interface, there are 2 sections. One allows you to train, one allows you to do rehab. Once we choose any one muscle that we want to work with, this provides a very simple interface of a tree with 2 bears to use and we wish not to use. This allows the patient to do what we call self-correction, which means enhance the good responses at a brain and do those which are maladaptive and which in a large number of cases are unconscious. You see a smiley over here? It's an icon. When that icon is smiling, we know. So in a learning zone, when I do the exercises, the hypothesis is that we wire the brain the fastest. And in our clinical trials, we've seen that we need as few as 5 repetitions of an exercise in order for people to undo compensation and start a recovery journey. From here, we go to the actual therapy interface. This gives you the option to actually give feedback on various issues prior to the therapy session. And then it guides you through whether you've placed the device correctly on your body. And then it takes you through a relaxation protocol. Once we finish the relaxation and the calibration, we come to the user interface where the recommended exercises for you are already installed. And once you take the device home, all you have to do is start. It gives a reminder of how one must position oneself while doing therapy. And we come back to the same interface that you saw before. So let's do some therapy.
So as you can see, there is a video running on the left side of the screen, which will keep changing every few minutes. What you're expected to do is watch and follow while you manage your muscle signals on the right side of the screen. So the brown bear, koala bear that you see is the muscle which should actually activate going up and down. And what you see on the right side, that is the gray koala bear, should actually stay below the flower. That is the muscle which should switch off for that particular movement which is going on in the video, okay? And while you're trying to manage this muscle control, that smiley face that you see over there should remain smiling. That is showing us that you're relaxed and attentive. And when you do your physical activity in a relaxed and attentive state, we see that the long-term learning gets wired much more faster, and you need much fewer repetitions in order to start doing this well. So that's the video. And more about this with Anushka. Needless to say, the exercises that to everyday tasks and activities of daily living, which is more like occupational therapy. And then there are also certain exercises which we call creativity exercises, but actually they are more heavy in cognitive content. So that's how we can mix and match depending on the severity and the type of patient and the type of challenge the patient is facing. So with this, I think I'm done with my session. I will stop sharing here. Thank you very much. And I invite Dr. Anushka Shetty to take you forward from there. So Anushka, would you please share your screen and take the audience through your slides, please? Thank you.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll just put the video on.
No, it should be okay. You can just share. It'll work. This is Zoom. No problem.
Yeah.
Just share. It'll work. No problem. Yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Subhashish, for taking us through Symphony. And now let's go through a few case studies of our patients which have used Symphony before. So these are a few patients which we have seen at the center, and few of them have done all the sessions independently at their homes, and few of them are therapist assisted at their houses. So let's go through. Okay, so Mr. Sarpodar is 65-year-old patient of ours. He got a stroke in 2020. His right side is affected. So as you can see in the first video, he's trying to make a figure of 8. So let me tell you why figure of 8 is very important to us. So it also helps us understand a lot of things about the patient condition as well. So as you know that because of stroke, one side of the brain is often affected. So because of that, lots of sequencing and planning is also hampered. So to get that functions back, you need the right and the left brain to work together. So to bring that back, we often use this figure of 8. So if the right and the left side is not symmetrical, then the circles will not be same on both the sides. Also, the movement will be quite unstable and shaky. And even if you don't have the trunk control, the back is not proper, then you will not be able to do the movement well. So as you can see on the left video, he's using a bigger marker pen. His trunk is not that stable. That's why the figure is quite small and it's not symmetrical as well. But if you can see on the right side, this was roughly months of therapy. So you can see that he's now able to do it quite well. Both sides are more now. His trunk control has improved, and because of that, he's now able to hold a smaller pen as well, and he's able to do it much smoother and in an efficient way. So let me tell you that why do we start treating the smaller muscles, the fine motor movements first, rather than the traditional way, which is treating the proximal muscles first, proximal joints like the shoulder and the hip joint. And then you can usually see that later on the fine motor movements often don't come back so fast. But what do? Is we generally take the natural way of functioning. As for example, when you see a baby, when it starts to learn, so it uses the fine motor movements to actually hold and touch objects. And when that usually develops and the baby is able to sense things, then later on, slowly you can see that the baby starts crawling and the trunk support comes, and then the baby is able to pull themselves and sit down. And then later on, slowly, the baby is also able to stand and walk. So this is exactly how we also try here at Symphony to treat the muscles and the brain together. So treating the fine motor movements first also helps in developing cognition and motor control, and thus it improves your standing and balance. So as you can see in the third video now, he's able to get up. He's now able to get up from the floor and he's walking without assistance, which was really difficult for him at first. So all this was roughly after 2.5 months of therapy with Symphony. So his trunk balance has improved and his cognition has improved a lot, as you can see here. Yeah. Let's go ahead. So this is Mr. Shroff. He's 79-year-old patient of ours, and he got a stroke around more than 10 years ago. And he had stopped taking any therapy later on because he didn't find any changes in his hand muscles. But later on, when he came to us, his main goal was to actually be able to write and eat with his right hand and do all the functional activities which are required in daily living. So at first, what we did was we gave him lots of writing and all the tasks to do with his right hand. So first we used a lined paper with him, so that also clue as to where to write. And once the cognition is developed, then he was able to write on a plain paper. And you can see it's quite symmetrical, and he is also using a smaller pen, which was very good. And once he was able to achieve that writing, and then later on he was able to eat with the right hand as well, holding the spoon alone. So later on we quickly transferred him to using the chopsticks, as using chopsticks is very difficult, as we all know, and it requires lots of precision and fine motor strength. So you can see it in the next video. He was able to achieve that quite well too. One second. He enjoyed eating Chinese, so he preferred, using chopsticks also at when he goes to the restaurant to eat. So this was quite helpful to for Mr. Shroff. Okay. So this is Mr. Singh. He's 48-year-old. He is a maths teacher by profession, and he got a stroke in around 2019. He's right-sided affected, and his main goal was to be able to stand and write on a blackboard. As you know, vertical writing is much more difficult than writing on the table, as it requires you to stand for a longer time. Your balance should be there, and you have to be able to have shoulder control to be able to hold the chalk in a particular position and maintain that for quite some time. So what we started with him was first writing it on the table with a bigger pen like a marker, and we gave him different figures to draw, like triangles and circles and lots of figure of eight as well. And then later on we shifted him to writing alphabets and numbers, and then we asked him to start writing in standing position as we worked on his balance as well. So standing also gave him a little confidence that he could be able to teach in a class again. And later on, when we were able to achieve that, we shifted it to writing or practicing his shoulder movements on the wall. So once we were able to achieve that as well, and then later on, as you can see on the right side, he's able to write well now he's able to write well on the blackboard as well. So roughly around 2 months of therapy. Yeah, so this patient we had seen during lockdown, and this was our remote online patient, which we were seeing, and he was able to understand all the exercises, and he was also doing these exercises every day by himself as well. So you can see here, his writing has improved a lot. It's not shaky anymore, and the figures are also quite well. So he was very happy with the progress. Let's go ahead. So this is Mr. Kale. He's 44-year-old patient of ours. He got a stroke in 2015, and his main goal was to be able to perform this ritual for his son. So where you have to pull out a liquid from the left hand and transfer it to the other hand and then put it back. So his left side was affected, and his wrist was always in the flexed position. So using the spoon was very difficult for him. So what we did was we started with his unilateral movement, as bimanual tasks are also very difficult if you have suffered from stroke, as again left and the right hemisphere should be working properly for that. So with only unilateral movement, so we gave him a spoon to hold on his left hand, and we worked a lot on his wrist flexors so that the flexors become a little relaxed and he's able to extend his wrist. And then afterwards, when he was able to use the spoon to transfer a macaroni, so we started with a solid object because that was much easier at first as compared to transferring a liquid. So once he was able to achieve that, then later on we transferred him to bimanual tasks, like using both hands together. So once you can see here in the first. So this was roughly during the first session. You can see his wrist is quite flexed. He has to keep adjusting the spoon all the time, and the movement was quite unstable also. So as you can see now, roughly around 3 months of therapy, which he used to come to the center, see now that he's able to use both his hands. So he's doing bimanual activity here, and he's actually pouring liquid. So he was able to do this quite well, and you can see the movement is not unsteady at all, as we worked a lot on his trunk balance as well. So that was improved, which again helped him to be stable enough to be able to hold the spoon properly and to transfer it without spilling any water, of course. So let's go ahead. So this was a young patient who came around last year, and he is Mr. Jain, 28-year-old. He was an IT professional, and his main goal was to be able to go back to work and writing. So once again, we started with a lot of figure of eight movements, and as you can see on the left side, it was not symmetrical at all. It is very hazy, and he is not able to control the movements as well. But later on, in roughly about 2 months of online sessions, you can see that the words are quite good. You are able to read the alphabets, and it's quite stable now. So this is Mr. Joe. He was a patient in Singapore who came for therapy at Symphony, and he got a stroke in 2017. And his main goal was to be able to go back to his job, and also he liked working in the kitchen. So he wanted to go back to helping in the kitchen as well. So first, so this again requires a lot of bimanual tasks. So at first, what we did was we gave him a lot of exercises for his fine motor movements, but unilateral, only one hand. So once he achieved eating with one hand, and then we quickly shifted him to using both hands together. So here you can see in the video, he's using his fork. So he's using his fork and spoon together. So once we started using this in the sitting position, and when he was stable enough and his coordination had improved a lot, then we started doing the same activities in standing, so that his balance was also a little challenged, and he got a little more confident. So once he was able to use the spoon and fork in standing position, we quickly shifted him to cutting activities in the kitchen. As you can see here, he's standing and he's using both his hands to cut the vegetables. So like I said, training the fine motor movements also helps a lot in regaining your balance, your motor control, your proximal muscle strength also improves. Also, we worked a lot on his lower limb as well. As you can see here, we tried to do a fun activity with him. So we took him to use the trampoline. So as is very helpful as it gives very less impact on the knees, ankle, and the hip muscles, and also a very good exercise to strengthen your muscles of the lower limb. So here you can see him doing the jumping activity, which also helps improving your balance and your cognition as well. So he's enjoying it quite well here. And even if you fall, that you know that you will not get hurt. So he was quite free here. And to jump with both the feet together also requires a lot of sequencing and execution, which also he perfected well over here, as you can see in the video. Okay. Okay, so how do you do it at home? So these are various setups which we have shown here, while the patients are using the device in their living rooms, in their offices, and also for a patient who has difficulty to sit on a chair for a longer time, they can also use it on the bed. So we also provide with the bed mount, and you can see here how the patient is able to lie down on the bed with the head propped up and is able to use the device at home. So you do not require any setup. You only need a desktop or a laptop, a table and a chair, and a Wi-Fi connection to use this device at home. You do not require any other additional setup at all. So how does this work? How do we set up the device at home? So at first we connect with you on a video call where we understand and do an initial assessment with you, and we understand your goals, and then we tell you our initial treatment goals with you as how we'll be working with you for here on, and then we ship the device to your house. So after shipping the device, we send you a few videos where we have shown how to open the device, how to wear the device by yourself, and we train you and your caregiver as well to use the device independently. So once after initial few training sessions are done, what we do is we try to shift the entire therapy by you independently, so that we just monitor it online, and then we see that if you're able to do it by yourself or not. So our main goal is to actually make the patient do the entire therapy by themselves. So we can also come to the patient's house to monitor a few sessions, or we can do it remotely online as well. So once the patient or the caregiver understands how to do the therapy by themselves, then we just monitor them online. And we also the device also generates data which gives you your progress reports after every session. So you can monitor the progress after every session by yourself as well. And we also make a report after every few sessions, and we share how the progress is going on, if we need to add any exercises or not, or if the exercises which you're doing is being done properly or not. So this is how the home independence program works. So why do you do this? So like Dr. Subhashish also mentioned, you can do for up to 2 sessions per day, which also gives you a faster recovery. You can do these exercises daily, and it is very cost effective. If you do about 2 sessions every day, you can do about roughly 60 sessions in a month. And also it's time saving because you don't have to go to and fro from the center and back. So you can do it at whatever time is convenient for you at your home as well. Thank you. We'll be taking a few questions from our patients later on once we finish with this. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Now we can, I think, shift to Mr. Ketan, who is a stroke survivor, and he'll tell about his journey on how he recovered and to all the survivors. May I request to Mr. Ketan to unmute himself?
गुड आफ्टरनून। मेरा नाम केतन मनीला मामनिया है। आ रही आवाज मेरा?
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Can you please? Yeah, its video is on. Yes.
मेरा नाम केतन मनीला मामनिया है। मैं सीए चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूँ। मुझे राइट साइड में पैरेलल अटैक आया है। जब भी 5 साल पहले मैंने बॉम्बे ऑफिस में अपने क्लाइंट का काम करा था, तभी मैं अचानक बेभान गिरा। उसके बाद मुझे पार्टनर मुझे बॉम्बे ऑफिस में लेके गए। वहां पे मुझे ब्रेन का बीपी शूट अप हो गया। 3 दिन में आईसीयू हॉस्पिटल में था और 7 दिन में नॉर्मल वार्ड में था। फिर मुझे एक इंजेक्शन लगाया था। मेरा प्रॉपर बोल भी नहीं सकता था। मेरा फेस भी थोड़ा वीक था। 10 दिन के बाद मैं घर पे आ गया। वहां पे बाद में 12 दिन के बाद मैं अपना नॉर्मल फिजियोथेरेपी स्टार्ट किया। वो फिजियोथेरेपी 9 महीने मैंने कंटिन्यू किया। उसमें ज्यादा कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं था। 9 महीने के बाद में 9 महीने एक्यूप्रेशर स्टार्ट किया। वो 8-9 महीने एक्यूप्रेशर किया। बाद में एक्यूपंक्चर भी किया, फिजियोथेरेपी भी किया, मैग्नेट थेरेपी भी किया। 14 बार बुट्टा उठना, तो कोल्हापुर भी जाके आया। कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं था। मैं अहमदाबाद जाके 1 महीना अहमदाबाद कंटिन्यू किया। वहां पे ज्यादा कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं था। अभी मैंने बाद में 1.5 साल पहले सिम्फनी ग्रुप का एड देखा। सिम्फनी एड देख मैं तुरंत उनको फोन किया था। वहां पे जाके मैं देखा, डिवाइस देखे बहुत अच्छा लगा। डिवाइस का ट्रीटमेंट बहुत अच्छा लगा। मैंने वो 1.5 साल के बाद वो कंटिन्यू किया। वो 1.5 साल के बाद मुझे शोल्डर बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट, मैं डिवाइस के बाद मेरे एल्बो में बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट, फिंगर में बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट है, वेट में अच्छी तरह इम्प्रूव हो रहा है। मेरे फोन से खाना भी खा रहा हूँ और पानी भी पी रहा हूँ, चपाती से भी खाना खा रहा हूँ, तो ब्रश भी राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ और कॉम भी राइट से कर रहा हूँ। अपना राइटिंग भी राइट हैंड से हो रहा है। अपना बोलना भी बहुत सही है मेरा। मैं मार्बल भी राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ, मार्बल भी यूज राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ। मैं सिम्फनी का खुद भी आभार मानूं। थैंक यू सिम्फनी ग्रुप, थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू। सिम्फनी के मैं सच्चे ही मैं आभार हूँ, सिम्फनी ग्रुप का।
Thank you so much, Mr. Ketan, for sharing your story with us. I think हमें बहुत अच्छा लगा आपकी स्टोरी सुनकर, एंड आपने जो हमें बताया कि आपकी जर्नी इस तरह से थी कि आपको स्ट्रोक आया। क्या मैं आपसे कुछ क्वेश्चंस पूछना चाहूंगी कि आपको जो ये स्ट्रोक आया, आपको क्या उससे पहले कोई दूसरी कोमॉर्बिडिटी थी, जैसे कि हाइपरटेंशन हो गया, बीपी की प्रॉब्लम, या फिर शुगर या डायबिटीज जैसी चीज?
वो कुछ भी नहीं आती। एक दिन से हाइपरटेंशन हुआ, एक दिन हुआ ओनली, जब हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हुआ एक ही दिन हुआ, बाद में कुछ भी नहीं है।
ओके सर। सो सर, जैसे कि आपने बताया कि आपका मतलब जो इंडिपेंडेंस आप नहीं दे पा रहे थे पोस्ट स्ट्रोक में, आप अपनी हैंड की जो रिकवरी आपकी नहीं हो पा रही थी, तो आपने किस तरह से कुछ मतलब एक्सरसाइजेस जो आपने ट्राई करी, कुछ ऐसे टिप्स आप देना चाहेंगे दूसरों को कि किस तरह से आपने अपने पोस्ट स्ट्रोक जो है इंडिपेंडेंस गेन किया? कुछ ऐसी टिप्स जो आप दूसरे सर्वाइवर्स के साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे?
मैं उसके बाद तुरंत मैंने अपना अपना गिलास भी राइट हैंड से पानी पी रहा हूँ। दूसरा, मैं स्पून से भी खाना राइट हैंड से खा रहा हूँ। चपाती भी राइट हैंड खा रहा हूँ। कुछ भी काम कर रहा हूँ राइट हैंड कर रहा हूँ। अपने डोर ओपन क्लोज भी राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ। अपना बॉटल भी ओपन क्लोज राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ। जो भी एक्सरसाइज करना सब एक्सरसाइज मैं राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ। अपना राइटिंग भी राइट हैंड से कर रहा हूँ। ये इम्प्रूवमेंट, ये सिम्फनी ग्रुप से अच्छा हो रहा है, बहुत सही हो रहा है। अभी लास्ट 6 महीने में इम्प्रूवमेंट उनका बहुत सही है।
ओके सर, मतलब कि जितना हम अपने अफेक्टेड हैंड को यूज करेंगे उतना हमारी रिकवरी उस हैंड की तरफ से होगी।
हाँ, वो हो रहा है। वो कंटिन्यू डेली में वो कर रहा हूँ। डेली वो कंटिन्यू एक्सरसाइज कर रहा हूँ। वो काम मैं डेली कर रहा हूँ। राइट हैंड से वो प्रॉपर्ली हो रहा है।
हमारे यहाँ सर्वाइवर्स पूछ रहे हैं कि क्या आपके लिए पॉसिबल है कि आप अपने अफेक्टेड हैंड से हमें एक्टिविटी एक बार शो करके दिखा सके कि आपका कितना जैसे कि रिकवरी या इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है पहले से, या फिर?
ये देखो 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 देखो।
That's very great, sir.
हाँ,
Thank you, sir. I think Dr. Subhashish, we can take questions now.
Yeah, first I would, Tamanna, just 2 minutes. I would like to translate it for our panels here who do not understand Hindi. So in
Yes,
short,
yes.
explain you what he said. So he's Mr. Ketan Mamania. He got stroke around 5 years back, and it happened because his BP shot up. So he was admitted in ICU for 5 days, and after that he was in the ward. So after coming back home, he did a few he tried doing different therapy sessions, which did not give him much improvement in his right hand. And he has done many other therapies as well, like magnetic therapy and acupuncture, etc. He wasn't happy with the progress, and he also many other places also for therapy. But after he saw an ad about Symphony, and he wanted to try this. So after that, he was quite impressed with how the device works, and last year been doing sessions with him at home. Now he's able to use his right hand quite well. He's able to eat eat with the spoon, and also open and close the door with his right hand. And he's very happy with the progress right now. Yeah.
Writing or doing writing?
Thank you.
We had one slide which shows Mr. Mamania's writing right now. Do you have that?
Yeah, I'll just share.
Just share that, because that shows where he is now.
Yeah, sure.
So I will just say that Mr. Mamania is back to his work and his social service. He was very active in the social sector. He has been able to go back.
I need to get the access. I'm not able to shift the slide.
Oh.
Can you share, ma'am, now?
You
Do
can
you have
see
it?
the slide, right? But I'm not able to move it forward.
Ma'am, I think you have to share the whole screen. There comes an option of sharing all screen. So maybe you have shared only one part of the screen.
No,
Ma'am, you need to stop sharing your screen and share it again. That would fix it. Okay, now it's working.
Now it's visible.
this is
Yeah,
visible.
this one, yeah. This one, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is a figure of 8 before and right now, how I was able to do it.
Up now.
Able to trace back on the same lines again and
Yeah.
become more steady now. So these are his writings. So first we gave him a visual cue so that he was writing on the lines. And then later on we removed those visual cues and then he was able to write on a plain page. So he has become more stable now.
90% stable.
Coordinated. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Subhashish, Dr. Anushka Shetty, and Mr. Ketan for coming us today as one of the panelists and giving us so much insights about on how patients can actually regain their independence. And I think there are several questions that everyone is asking today. So I think Mr. Subhashish have already answered those in the chat section. And there is one more survivor. I think it's Anup Kumar. He's willing to ask the question. I'll unmute Mr. Anup. You can ask your question that you want to ask.
Hi, I'm Anup from Bangalore. I have one small question. Even we can use this for those patients who have implant fixed. Any foreign implant has fixed, then for those patients we can use it. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Anup, we can listen you. Dr. Subhashish, can we have an answer of him?
Yes. Yes, we can, because this does not provide any stimulation that goes into the brain. So if you have a metallic implant or a non-metallic implant, it's completely safe to use. The only thing is in the arm, if you have any kind of implant, no problem, because what we actually track is EMG signals at the surface of the skin. When it comes to the brain, if you tell us where the implant is, there are some sensors we can switch off so that they don't interfere with the signal capture. So we can do that, and we have used it with people with stents in the brain, and with the artificial part of the skull and things like that. So no problem on that.
Okay. And sir, another question, like if once the hand goes in the contracture phase, then this helps to do the movement also, or we have to do only passive movement in that scenario also?
Yeah, so contracture, you have to do some level of passive movement, definitely. But even in contracture, what we see is that there are some muscles which sort of stop working because contracture doesn't allow them to work. Okay. And over there, the brain actually remaps itself. So we have worked with some contracture patients. I won't say very severe, but we have worked with some contracture patients. For example, you saw that gentleman who was transferring the liquid with his left hand. That person was also a long-term patient. There must have been some contracture there because his wrist was permanently flexed. I also shared with you the guitar player in one of my first slides who went back to playing the guitar, and he was completely flexed for more than 10 years. So contracture does take place, but actually work on.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I
If I'm saying this accurately.
So, okay.
Can you give your comments?
Sorry. Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Anup, for raising out the question.
Thank
And
you.
I think there is one question, Dr. Subhashish, that is this only for the upper limb? Does it helps with other conditions that actually cause post-stroke like aphasia? Can you hear me, Dr. Subhashish?
Yes. So I just wanted to know if Anushka had any inputs on question posed just now by Aman.
Yes. So like I showed you previous stories of our patients as we worked on their fine motor movements first, and then we were able to solve their other difficulties of getting their posture correct or their sitting balance. So I'll give you an example. So if you want to thread a needle, so what do you need? So you need your balance to be correct. You need your cognition to be good. So once you are able to do that, for that you need to sit correctly also. So if your balance is not good, you won't be able to put the thread into the needle, right? So once you are trying to learn that, so then you try to stable your back also with that, and you need to put both the legs on the ground. So it also gives you a lot of support. So once that is achieved, your proximal support also gets better. So what we do is we start with the fine motor movements, and then it automatically, or it helps regain your balance proximal as well. So we also do give exercises for the lower limb as well, like maybe sit to stand, walking, and etc. But our main focus is to work on the fine motor movements first. But it does help in regaining your proximal functions as well. Dr. Subhashish, do you want to add something on that?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anushka and Dr. Subhashish. And I think I would like to ask one question. Like, for example, many of our stroke survivors usually have their problems in, fingers inflection, and they cannot stretch out their fingers. Is it this device going to just generate the or activate the muscles, or maybe when you do a particular rehab or any particular kind of an exercise, it will instruct you to do in it in a correct way?
Yes. So we all try to open the fingers, right? And when they don't open, we exert strength, correct? Now, when a muscle is weak or when a muscle is stuck, which means it doesn't let go, which is what is frequently happens with the flexor muscles, that is the muscles which close the hand. They refuse to let go. So even when you try to open the hand, you will see instead of the opening muscles, it's the closing muscles which are more active. And that is where the resistance comes from. So it doesn't really help if we just try to keep on exerting strength. One of the big things, and Mr. Ketan Mamania will agree to this, is the relaxation training, right? So immediately on the screen, when you try to open the finger, you will see whether you're stuck because a muscle is weak or because a muscle is overactive. And immediately it will put you into the loop of whether to relax the overactive muscle or whether to activate the weak muscle. So when you see this in real time, and different muscles may be in different stages of being stuck in a particular place, you very quickly understand what you need to do, right? So, and that's the first insight. So for some people who are trying to recover, the challenge is to activate the right muscle. But what we've seen is for a large number of people, the challenge is also to relax the hyperactive muscle. And that hyperactive muscle is completely unconscious. You don't even know that that muscle is hyperactive. So we've had people who have done therapy religiously for 3 years. When they came to us, we told them, let's see. And that person realized, oh my God, all this while I was actually activating the wrong muscle. And that is the muscle which closes the finger rather than the muscles which actually open the finger. So when you get an insight like that, it certainly opens up the possibilities of how you can restructure your approach to this particular area, particularly the fingers and the hands. Tamanna?
Yeah. Okay, so one more question is here, sir. Like, is it like this device is helpful for the Parkinson disease as well?
I will hand you over to Anushka for that because she's been doing a lot of such cases lately. So Anushka, please, your question.
Yes, definitely it helps a lot in Parkinson patients. So I am myself handling a few of them. And I'll give you an example of our patient. He is 80 years old right now. And I've been doing therapy with him since last year. So his movements were, as you know, in Parkinson's, it's slow movements, uncoordinated. And with the help of the device, they are able to relax more, get that attention back, and get their movements properly. So we do a lot of these relaxation exercises with them, which also helps them maintain that stability so that that shakiness, or you can say, that unstable movements are not there. And he is now able to do quite all the exercises well. Also, he was a painter. So when I first did the assessment, he wasn't able to draw a small house or even a clock. So his cognition was also affected. So we worked on that. We gave him small little exercises of calculation and making small uh, like patterns like straight lines and circles and lots of figure of eight activities. That also helped him a lot to get that function back. So now he even draws by himself and he's able to do all the activities also. So it's more like regaining all the movements, like to be able to do the functional activities which they were doing before, and also to maintain what they have achieved, so that we don't want it to deteriorate more, and to be able to do their activities of daily living well. So we teach a lot of functional activities to them, like eating, or if they want to put their clothes back and all of that. So we do those physical tasks as well with them. So we have seen quite a bit of progress in all our Parkinson patients.
So one small thing that we do probably different from others is when we have issues with old age, we go back to how babies learn, which is what Anushka referred to in her talk, which means that we start from the floor upwards. Okay, so we put a person like this typically back into sitting on the floor, getting up from the floor, crawling on the floor, because as you know, activities like this are very good for extension, flexion of the ankles, of the knees, hip rotation, glutes, also, the ability of the hip flexors to engage, and then generally the trunk control, right? So we follow the same paradigm. So we will put them on their backs and ask them to do reaching tasks, which you see babies do a lot. Then we will ask them to roll over and give them roll over training. Then from roll over to sitting position, and then from sitting position to crawling position, from crawling position to standing position. When you go back like that, and all the time, remember, when we are checking how the data is coming across, we find that the stability, the stabilizer muscles, the mobilizer muscles, and the attention all get trained together. So we put people back into how babies learn. And that's where, some of the outcomes which Anushka's talking about, it's possible to do that. It also, we find that now that when we approach it like that, they also get a much better understanding of risk. For example, risk of falling, risk of overreaching, risk of walking too fast versus, walking at a pace that is appropriate. So those kind of learnings happen on their own, just like they happen with babies, right? So that's probably one approach where we are different because we follow the natural process of brain development.
That's very great, sir. I think most of the survivors and caregivers who have actually joined today have found this session very interesting. And mostly important, it's useful also, because the action sometimes that we do during our rehab exercises, most of the stroke survivors have given their feedbacks that they have been doing wrong from last 1 year, and that synergy that is created in their hands and legs, it's totally now they're not able to do the right actions as they used to do earlier. So it's very important to have that data also, that if you are doing the exercises in a right direction or it's in a wrong direction. So, and that's very great that technology have given us so much of advantage of, giving us that what exercises you're doing, it's wrong or right. And I think most of the survivors would definitely received very good and valuable information today, and held that yes, there is like a monitoring, that if you are also at home, you can monitor yourself that the exercises that are doing, it's wrong or right. Because during the COVID, many of our survivors were not able to access their rehab sessions, and
Yes.
at home they were doing the exercise by their own, seeing the YouTube videos and several other virtual sessions. But I think there is very less provision in India to to access these kind of online and remote rehab sessions, and we would actually want to explore more and more in terms of that. In India, it should be a, there has to be a provision that even this kind of pandemic hits anywhere in any part of the country or any region. So there has to be a provision that a patient who is actually suffering from these kind of disabilities can access through these kind of services, like rehab sessions, directly through the technology, or where they are sitting at home. And thank you so much, Dr. Subhashish, Dr. Anushka Shetty, and Mr. Ketan, who have actually come up today and for the webinar. We are very much grateful that you have actually come out with the time and give us the time of giving such a valuable information to everyone. And mainly thanks to all the participants and the survivors and caregivers who have joined us today, because for you, these sessions are there, and I think you have all enjoyed the session and you have definitely got your queries resolved. And if you have any other queries, you can just give us on the chat section, or I have already shared the links in the WhatsApp, in the chat section of the Facebook or WhatsApp link of a Stroke Support Alliance. If you have any kind of questions, you can join. And giving about a brief about a Stroke Support Alliance, I think I have been given to all the survivors that this Stroke Support Alliance is basically a stroke support group in which we have we try to create a very vibrant community in which they actually share their stories, their issues, and about what kind of what overall journey, how they have gone through their stroke, and what kind of things that they have already achieved till now, and what kind of recovery are on there. And anyone who wants to join with Stroke Support Alliance can definitely come up with. And thank you so much to all the team for giving us your time and giving us such a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tamanna. Thank you for all your support and leading up to this event. And thanks to all the participants. Thanks to Ketan and Anushka as well. Thank you.